Okay, we're going to get into finishing, and the finishing area in our factory takes up the most area. The biggest machines, the most noise, the most fuss, etc. So we're going to go through some of these finishing types and some of the machines that run, just so that you can see the ways that they work. And there's many different ways of finishing a product. I won't go through them all here, we'll just take the main ones. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to go through is how guillotine works. A lot of you might never have used a guillotine, but it's used in almost every operation, or a type of guillotine. So, let's just play the quick movie. So we trim on the guillotine, and we work with stacks, which I'll just go through soon. So this is a quick movie that I took on my iPhone. Excuse the quality, but right. So this is the average guillotine. Sorry, if I just go back a second, the screen that's on there. This particular example I'm going to show is a preset. The guy had been doing about a pallet load about this big of these particular books. So he put a preset in, and every time he pulled the blade down, it goes to the next measurement, and it goes to the next measurement. So he doesn't have to do anything. But they're fully programmable, and there's good, amazing things you can do. So the important thing, of course, is to have a bit of bleed, which is what I was trying to show there, and the trim marks, so the guys know where to go with it. Now, see Jason, he picks up this stack. He quite easily just knocks it all up and gets it all straight. I can tell you from experience that I just can't do that. It's very, very difficult to get that in. So he knocks it into place. He's got the back stop set at the correct measurement already. The blade comes down, one chop, and it's through the whole stack. And you'll notice that's why we need bleed. If there's no bleed there, you'll see these particular books have got these like tabs on the side. And as you see, as it cuts through, you can just see those little tabs going through. When he cuts it, there's enough bleed of those little black marks going over the edge that you can see. Just a little bit forward. That what the client wants with those little tabs that their clients can open it up at exactly the right point and know exactly that they're in the right section has worked for them. If you were to make those books and have those prints come out with no bleed, then the chances are when he puts it into the guillotine like that and he knocks it up, some of it's not going to be quite right. You've got a margin of error. You've got error in the printers when they come through, that things are going to move around in the printers. You've got errors knocking it up. You've got errors from a number of different things. So you allow for that by adding bleed onto the edge of the page, and then you get a result that's acceptable for your client. I'll just continue and just finish it off. So basically that's how a guillotine works. And when you're working with guillotines, you're working with stacks. So when someone talks about cutting through the stack, I just brought along a couple of pieces of paper so I could sort of show you. When you think of your print, normally one would just sort of think of a single page, and you'd only think of printing one page up because you want to get it through your laser printer and out the other side, so it's pretty easy. You can get your document out. When we think of it, we have to think of it how the whole document is going to come out in the end, how the guys are going to work with it. So one example is when we're doing things like variable data jobs, and we get a lot of variable data jobs where you would do, say, cards, and you'd have cards. You'd have cards where you go, okay, put card number 1 there, card number 2 there, card number 3 there, 4, 5, and 6. Can't even count. And so most people would say, well, that's how you do it. That's how you'd set up your job. There's no problem there. But that there won't work in terms of the guillotine, because when you come through and you cut the guillotine, and remember that if you do it this way, then your card number 7 is going to be here, your card number 8 is going to be on this page, and your card number 9 is going to be on this page. So when you've finished, and imagine you're doing 10,000 cards, and you cut down the stack like that, you've now got to go and say, well, here's number 1, put it at number 2, put it at number 3, put it at number 4, put it at number 5. So when we say cut through the stack, what you've got to do is you've got to go 1, 2, 3, and then when you've let's say this is just a group of 3, then you've got to go 4 here, 5 and 6, and do that through the whole variable data job. Fortunately, we have software that does that for us. And all you'd have to do in terms of setting up a job, if you did want to set up a variable data job, and we do get a lot of clients that preset their jobs and send them in to us, that's fine. Don't try and impose them up. Don't try and put too many up on a sheet. Just give us page by page, and we just put it through the software that we've got, and send it through in the most efficient way for that particular job. And that's actually another tip, is that it's nice to be thinking forward for your printer to set up your jobs, impose them, try and save a bit of space, etc. But most of the time, the decision to which printer we're going to go is going to be a very late decision. There are different types of printers that have different types of specifications and ways that you want to send the job to them, and you might want to change tack at the last minute. And you might need to change your imposition, you might need to change the way that you're going to attack the job. And to have the single page job is much easier for the printer to impose it up. They know what they're going to do, and they'll do it that way. So it's always better to give a job as a single page job. Especially, a lot of people give us the saddle stitch jobs as spreads, and that's one thing which is a bit of a pain, because we've got to depaginate it all and get it back to going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in InDesign, there's a thing which is in your export box, which you press to say export as spreads. Well, click that off, make sure it's single pages, and then we'll apply the correct imposition. Because actually those spreads are wrong. If you ever printed out spreads and try to put them back to each other, it'll never work. So yeah, as I said, your printer will know what he's doing, and much easier for him to have a single page. Right, so the next section we're getting on to is web finishing. Now, On Demand is, I think, the first in Australia with the Indigo web-fed press, double-sided one, and I believe we're the first with the new OSE speed press. Now, web is a press where all your printing is done onto a roll, much faster. There's some economies that you get. But most people don't read stuff off a roll. Last time I read something off a scroll, it was my bar mitzvah. So, we read cut sheet, so we need to finish that roll into sheets. So this is web roll to sheet, and our particular web finishing machine will do the cutting. It'll do an offset, which means that it can, once you finish one book, you don't want the book to be on top of the other book, because then you can't see where the gap between them is. So it'll offset the book slightly and come back like that, and then stack it. It'll get to a certain height in the stack, and then we'll push it out the back of the machine. So this machine works like so, very, very quick. So that's the size of the rolls that go through these machines. It comes through this section here, just chops it. That's all it does. If I just pause it for a second, the reason it chops it is all of these web-fed machines have this, what's called an eye mark. The eye mark is this little black mark in the corner. We'll probably put it up. This little black mark in the corner, it just looks for that. Whenever it finds that, it says chop. There's a little, what they call an offset. It says, this particular one chopped that and it's 13 millimeters. We can change it on the fly. So that's the eye mark, it's called. And then there's a barcode. The barcode tells the machine this is a sheet that has to be just go onto the stack, or it's the sheet where you change the offset, or it's the sheet where it says push the lot out the back. Yeah. No, these ones are put in at the rip stage. So when it goes into the rip, we've pre-programmed certain templates so that it puts the right ones in the right place. Not the designer's problem, no, that's a finishing problem entirely. Yeah, and this is an example of why we do the web printer as well, is that it has a very large. It has a very large blanket, and we can get that size out of a web length. The quality is pretty good. It's indigo quality. You can get 6 colours. and it comes out at a rate of 6,000 clicks an hour, I think it is. For this one, that's double-sided. So it's a hell of a lot of pages that that says. If anyone does have questions while I'm going through, please ask. It'll be harder to get through. Sorry, so that's just the finishing, and then it just comes out the back. This particular one, when I was doing it, they were coming out of the top feeder, but there's actually a whole mechanism inside which I can't film, unfortunately, but it does some very intricate sort of stuff at the bottom, and it pushes. It's got this little tray that shoots in and picks up things, and it's actually a very clever little machine made in Switzerland. Right.